there was the Consolidated Government Investment Report 2019-2020 that came out this week, which essentially just gave an overview. Okay, not really an overview. It was to some level of detail. The status of the government entities and especially government parastatals, how they are doing, how the government is doing as a business owner, if you are to count their entities as businesses, and how much debt they're in, how operational they are. And there's some interesting insights. I think the thing that jumped out for everyone was Kenya Railways, because Kenya Railways, I think in 2020, apparently they made a loss of 24 billion, which is a lot. It is a lot. And that was the biggest thing. So, but the key highlights that I would say is that total revenue generated by state corporations in 2020 was 603 billion, which was a decrease from 2019, which 625 from 625, a 4% decrease. So they attributed the drop to COVID coming in the last quarter of 2020, which 2020 was last year.
Yes.
Which I don't know whether impact of COVID-19 the last quarter of 2020. The first case of COVID was in March in Kenya, and which was March 2021. Globally, the first case was in November. Was it November of 2020?
It was actually December in China of 2019.
So I'm not sure whether you could say the marginal drop was attributed to the impact of COVID-19, because we hadn't even faced COVID as a country by end of 2019.
We hadn't.
2020. So and then government of Kenya shareholding in the businesses, 102 billion, which decreased because they sold National Bank to KCB.
But which the government has a stake as well, around 20%.
Okay, but it reduces it.
It reduces their net holding.
Ownership.
And then, of course, the government increased, assets for the government increased because, of course, infrastructure projects, development underway. So, for instance, Kenya Railways, the assets grew to 539 billion.
Did they say from?
They haven't said, it didn't mention from. Yeah. So that is the overview. Then when we look at the financial performance of the state corporations, so state corporations, actually their accumulated profits 36 billion, which at least they did have profits in total. The state corporations in total had a profit. So compared to 43 billion in 2018, 2019. So that decrease in net profit is largely attributed to Kenya Railways again, which posted a net loss of 24 billion.
Why am I not hearing about Kenya Airways?
Because Kenya Airways, it's the government has around 48%. So now I think for me the debate has always been about privatization and not to privatize. And over the recent past I've been deliberating about this, and I can see faults in both sides of the line. Okay, so if you look at, for example, Safaricom, the government has 35% of Safaricom. Safaricom is doing really well. Okay, it's the most profitable company. You find that they remit very good dividends to Ukuriatani at Treasury. And Ukuriatani gladly receives the money, and it gets out as bailouts for Kenya Power and the likes, so it's coming in and it's going out. And also, if you look at Kenya Airways was privatized, okay? Back, I think in around 96, in the year 1996, around there. Where is it right now? It's not okay. If you look at Uchumi, privatized in what? Must have been financial year 91, 92, around there in the 90s. Where is it right now? So if you argue for privatization,
but then on the other hand,
you're having issues. But then for state corporations, yes, I mean, but then if you look at state corporations and if you look at, for example, sugar, if you look at Mumias, Mumias is actually privatized, right?
Yeah.
The government has around 20% stake. Leave Mumias alone. Go to Chemelil, go to Sony Sugar, go to Nzoia, go to Muhoroni. Okay? The government owns that.
Yeah.
So, again, it's the ones that the government is managing is not doing well. The other ones still has their issues. But again, for me, let me go back to...
But again, we also have the Rai-owned
West
Sugar, which I think is doing well.
It's doing very well.
Yeah, so...
if you look now at state corporations, and now let me focus my lens on the likes of Kenya Pipeline, Kenya Railways, Kenya Power. The issue there is, let's not lie to each other. Blankly, it's corruption.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah. Exactly.
First of all, Kenya Railways, I have a big problem with Kenya Railways. Those guys, I have managing of inventory. Kenya Railways have a lot of land in this country.
Yeah.
Okay? They have a lot of... The
That
inventory
is not inventory.
is large.
Land is not inventory for Kenya Railways.
Yeah, it won't because it's not part of their core business.
Now, when it comes to
what is the inventory?
Now, looking at
trains,
yes, now trains, and
those
bogies.
are not. They don't sell them. They don't have inventory.
So that counts as PPM.
Yeah, PPE.
PPE.
Yeah.
Okay, so that one, PPE. When it comes to
so management of assets.
Management of assets. Yeah, I should have said assets. Okay. Now, if you look at land, the way they manage land, a lot of dead assets there. Okay, if you look at their bogies and the likes, the ones that are rotting in some places are metal. Bogies are the ones that used to bogies. There are two types of bogies. The one that can carry people, it's the carriers. Generally.
Oh, okay.
It's the carriers.
It's called behewa.
Yeah,
behewa.
In Swahili. I didn't know any word.
So I mean,
either of those.
I always have a big issue with Kenya Railways with how they've managed the inventory. Of course, there was a time when the Rift Valley Railways was put in charge of Kenya Railways. This was during the Kibaki time.
Yes.
So then again, it was brought back to be managed by the state. So they have had challenges in both times. But as these issues will never stop because of one thing: the political interference.
Exactly.
The positions of the people who head state corporations. It's political appointees. It's people who are. It's like a way of rewarding people with those positions. So these people are generally not competent. I mean, you'd find someone heading a certain corporation and they don't even know anything about that sector. Okay, it's just that an appeasement to them. That's the big issue. And then a lot of nepotism and tribalism, where people employ not based on metric, but employ on kujuana and everything. So that's really hurting these corporations. And I think curing that corruption would have to come from above. Would have to come from the man on the hill.
Yeah, and I think just to mention on
oh wait,
that,
I thought you meant a supreme being.
No. The man the one who's in the house.
Guy has been in office for 10 years, bro, and he's the one who makes this political appointment.
It's not yet 10.
Okay. Yeah, and I think we had what's it called? Even before with the Rift Valley Railways, there was an element of private capital that came in, private equity capital that came in back in 2014 thereabout. So we had Citadel Capital who acquired stake in the Rift Valley Railways. Centum also had a stake then, which Centum exited because I think they didn't see the vision. So probably this is something maybe James Moria can help give us light on how their interaction with Kenya Railways and Rift Valley Railways, whether it played a part in their exit of businesses. And to your point about the mismanagement, we can even look at something like Posta. Posta has the one of the best distribution networks in the country.
Outlets,
and they had like significant advantage, fast mover advantage,
and reach,
and the fact that you still can't use Posta to deliver your goods across the country.
Posta,
and that kind of
Posta
thing
would have taken up something, and I think they still can. There is gold somewhere. Okay,
yes.
If they could play third party to the likes of Jumia Kilimall for delivery, especially up country where it might be hard for Jumia and the likes to develop a network. There is poster in almost everywhere.
And you have startups such as Copier that are coming up and filling this gap.
Play that party with these guys.
Filling a gap that ideally...
not with Copier.
No,
Copier is a direct competition.
But the fact that Copier is coming up to meet this gap...
shows that
poster
someone
is there. It would have easily done. Like, there's so much opportunity that I think it's just being slept on.
But then again, Kalia, these are state-owned enterprises. Again, political appointees, corruption. The people at the helm of these owned, and so they're driven by the need to make profit.
But even for government,
you can't afford to be rigid in this.
There's no ownership. There's no sense of ownership by the people who run these state-owned enterprises.
It's a lack of vision from the top.
That is the presidency.
Like, if we had, if the executive was serious about this thing, like, you would be like the same way KRA is very aggressive in collecting taxes and getting people, following people on social media.
Because it's coming from above that we need revenue.
So if there was like proper direction and proper guidance on a turnaround, you're told there's a mandate, you want a turnaround strategy for Posta, for KPA, for all this, for Kenya Railways, and people actually implement it, then there would be change.
So the thing that cuts across all these sectors is corruption and lack of seriousness.
Essentially.
Absolutely. Even the career you're talking about, they exert so much pressure in collection of revenue, but still that revenue gets stolen.
Yeah, but at least that is not on KRA's part, because for them they've collected.
Done their mandate.
Yeah, then once it goes to Treasury...
even with KRA, I mean, people... There's a lot of corruption.
There's a lot of corruption. Yeah, like, of course, guys pay other guys off for your taxes. Not
exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
That is there, but at least for them, there's effort that is being made for them to do what it is they're doing, and they're actually following through to a great extent. So going back to this, also touching on loans and guarantees that the government had. So in addition, and this is something that has been in discussions on when discussing government debt, normally we usually look at the debt that the government has taken as the government
itself,
and we're not looking at the debt that's taken up by the parastatals or guaranteed debt that the government has given. So I think this is information that probably I think the IMF was pushing for more disclosure on this. But when you're looking at this, total outstanding guaranteed debt was 160 billion, which was up from 154 billion. And again, the increase in this was, so the government had to draw down on guaranteed loans by KPA and Kenya Airways. Again, Kenya Airways features. And then also they paid off, they had guaranteed loans with East African Portland Cement, Tana Athi River Development Authority.
Kenya Power also.
I think Kenya Power, it hasn't been mentioned here. But that is the other thing which I think is contributing also to these state corporations not being aggressive, because they know even if we don't deliver,
there's a bailout coming.
The government would come through.
And they're scared though, because Kenya Airways last year got a bailout of 25 billion. This year they're asking for, is it 70-something billion? And the treasury was like, no.
And do you know why it has been reduced? It's
reduced.
All is coming from. I mean,
reduced. What has been reduced?
The amounts for bailout. Remember we discussed it. Must have been in, I don't know which episode number. There are so many these days. But my biggest query is, all this is actually coming from the IMF recommendations. What we are seeing actually in the Kenyan university, in the public universities, trying to cut cost and everything, and now state corporations. My biggest question is, did it have did it have to come from IMF?
To take IMF,
Did it? It took IMF for us to start. Looking. So we couldn't have done it by ourselves. So it took someone
incompetence,
who
of the people
who lent us money. Okay, and now wants their money back and is looking like we are starting to become risky. So he's trying to tell us, hey, you guys need to organize your house and the likes. But for me, I think the bottom line is, apart from corruption, which I know, I don't want to be pessimistic, okay, but let me be a cautious optimist.
Don't waste your whole
corruption is not going to be solved anytime soon in this country because of the will. So let me look at another thing which is affecting these guys. Just dead assets. Dead assets. You guys, there are so many idle land that is sitting there, and the idle land, your inventory, your assets. If it was private companies, I mean, they'd find efficient ways of dealing with this stuff. Like you can't just have land sitting like that. Lease it so that it brings in revenue.
Some revenue. Yeah.
So for me, it's dead assets. Dead assets will finally kill you and make you dead.
I had Dr. Julius Kipngetich say something about
the CEO of Jubilee Insurance Group.
He was saying something about, this was on personal finance though. It was like there's no much economic sense in putting money in the construction of a home in Shags. And you had to spend time there. You can invest that money somewhere, let it make you more money. Then now you move to Shags, or you need to.
When you are staying there, when you're present.
Again, dead assets, because that house in Shags now becomes a dead asset, sort of. It will serve you when you go there, but it's largely use it like what, less than once a year. When you go for Christmas. So use that for now state-owned enterprises. With this land they have in the balance sheets, that is not getting the money.
Just
and actually it's taking out money because they use this money for they have to spend money to maintain these things. Where was I headed with that?
Dead assets. That was your point.
So I wanted to know, I was interested in knowing that when Julius Kipngetich was in Kenya Wildlife Service?
The KWS.
What was the performance of KWS? Because
he took it to another level. He really did a good job there.
I think.
So I think we would use such intellect to.
I think it just comes down from the top. Like if we have a proper
competence.
Leadership that is actually focused on growing these enterprises and making them functional. I think there's huge potential that they do have, which is not being met at all. So that's the thing against I think same problems, just mismanagement and lack of guidance, I think, from the top. But I think the fact that the government constantly has to come and bail out a lot of this
it's not sustainable.
Institutions is not really sustainable. So I think that's that on the parastatal's financial performance and financial health.